All right, good evening, everybody. This is
Okay.
a live briefing. We're tracking Hurricane um,
That's
Ida,
Hurricane Ida.
and today is August twenty
Yep.
seventh, and it's about 9:45 p.m. So we've been talking about this for the last couple days, and it's really in strength. It's going to get high. It could be a Category 4. So I'll turn things over to Isaac.
Yeah, and we'll have plenty of information as we go about. A new advisory will be coming out very soon in the count of about 15 minutes or so. Here are the key messages. You can see the cone and the estimated arrival time there are in that graphic there. This is directly from the National Hurricane Center. I'll give you guys a better image of that here in a second. So right now, the latest advisory here, it's right over. It's been right over Cuba. Has just moved offshore, and then this here, by the way, is the latest satellite. You can see the center is uh, just a little ways off of Cuba and is undergoing rapid intensification as we speak. So that's definitely a concern. I tried to get it to where I can loop and overlay, but um, again, he's had that land interaction, and again, it is definitely ramping back up in terms of strength. And again, I'm going to share some more of that advisory information there. Again, the advisory number 7 issued at this would be 5 o'clock Eastern time. Again, they didn't issue an intermediate one, so next full advisory comes at 10. So the data here shows, again, now we're looking at 615 miles. This is the brand new advisory, just now came in, by the way. So this is the 11 p.m. Eastern time advisory. Um, Ida now entering the Gulf of Mexico. It is rapidly intensifying, and will continue to do so as it reaches the Gulf, the rest of the Gulf. So we're 105 miles west of Havana, Cuba. This is 615 miles southeast of New Orleans. Right now, maximum winds are at 80. Again, this has been a tad bit lower. It was at 90 recently. This was the maximum sustained winds, but this is definitely going to be ramping back up. And again, we're still at a low end hurricane as we speak. It is going to rapidly intensify. Storm surge warnings, hurricane warnings now up for the coast. Again, this would be most of coastal Louisiana, also New Orleans under storm surge warning, hurricane warnings. Also, again, so intercoastal city, Louisiana, to the mouth of the Pearl River in Mississippi, including Maripa, Pontchartrain, Lakes, New Orleans Metro, Mobile Bay, also in storm surge watch. Um, and once again, we have many folks under hurricane warnings in coastal Louisiana. Once again, we're going to kind of recap the center of Ida. This is um, this is moving northwest near 15. Uh, the general motion should continue until we get to Sunday. Again, Sunday's going to be kind of a big day when we're talking about when it's over the open Gulf. The sea surface temperatures and everything are very primed, and the pressure is going to drop dramatically on Sunday. Just in a matter of a short period of time, what we've been looking at with some of the model data here from a little while ago, we've seen
Mm-hmm.
pressure near landfall. A lot of the mainstream models are showing sub 950 in terms of the minimum
Mm-hmm.
central pressure. But I'm going to point out we've been as I've pointed out some folks on Storm Community earlier. You can get reconnaissance data. Again, there's the pressure tends to be a lot lower in hurricanes. Generally, you can find pressure that's a lot lower in reconnaissance data that you get from in hurricanes, and it tends to be lower than what mainstream models say. For example, we've been seeing I'm going to pull up some of the intensity guidance, by the way. This would be initialized. This would be Zero Zulu on the 20. Yeah, this is the newest one. Uh, okay. Rather, okay, that's not the one I was pinching Cat 5. But you can definitely tell again, a lot of what we're seeing on models here have us in category 3 strength and a couple at 4. But again, the mainstream model, generally the pressure tends to be a lot lower. The intensity is a bit higher than what a lot
Mm-hmm.
of these are saying. And the outlier here is at least category 3. And generally generally speaking, the pressure and everything is trending down. So my immediate concerns are, um, again, we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about specifics, of course. Um, but again, I've been thoroughly, uh, again, keeping a close eye on things throughout the day. And what I've been
Me
thinking
too.
here is, again, the originally during the earlier part of the day, we were kind of thinking more like, again, the model runs from the earlier in the morning showed some pressure at landfall, a little under 950, but now we're again. Cameron will have more to say about some of the model runs that we've been seeing in the latter course of the day, and throughout the afternoon and earlier in the day, we've been talking sub 940s. So what I mean is the pressure is dramatically trending lower, which is not a good sign for hurricanes. And I'm gonna point out again. Generally, when you're seeing each newer run showing a much stronger hurricane, and that has been the case as far as I've been as far as I've been seeing things over the past couple of days. Again, the environment is um, definitely primed. Again, now we're to kind of update from earlier in the morning. We were initially earlier today. Our thoughts were maybe high end Cat 3, low end Cat 4, but now we're kind of talking pressure that could be below 940 maybe. And again, the dramatic increase in pressure and the rapid intensification that'll go through on Sunday, just the rate that it intensifies is what concerns me, and I'm sure it's been concern for a lot of us, because generally what tends to happen, again, the open Gulf, the northern Gulf Coast, that's where the sea surface temperatures are the highest, and that's where and when you get the higher sea surface temperatures in the 80s and potentially 90s, this is the surface of the water. The temperatures, when you're talking 90 degrees, you're going to get a lot of convection that develops with that. And just with that really tight pressure gradient. Again, this is definitely going to be where we get that rapid intensification as we go throughout Sunday. Um, and like I said, that the pressure has been trending way down. Um, just my opinion. That's definitely a sign for something. Again, earlier in the course of the day, we've been talking potentially a high end Cat 3, Cat 4 landfall. Now we're talking. A lot of us are thinking here on that. Given there's definitely room for it to be much stronger than that. We could very well be talking maybe even a high end Category 4, and there is some room for it to become a Category 5. Again, it is not out of the realm of possibility. Again,
Yeah, I'm
generally,
not
when
gonna
you're
rule that
talking
out,
about
Isaac.
the rapid strengthening that it will go through, generally, what tends to happen a lot of times with some of these hurricanes, as it turns the open Gulf and then and then it has a bit ways of a slower track. The pressure can be much lower, and a lot of times I see reconnaissance. A lot of times we can see reconnaissance data that actually shows pressure that is a little ways lower than what models can show or surface observations can plot. Because then, not every pressure reading is reliable, of course, because sometimes you get observing stations that you get power loss, and sometimes recon missions don't go successfully either. So you can always, again, what we need to pay close attention to is the data that meteorologists get. Folks at the National Hurricane Center, a lot of their advisory data and the information they get
Hurricane
is
centers.
critical to all of us. Yep. So again, kind of our thoughts are, again, it has room to again make it again our consensus that we have here is it has definitely room for it to become a category 4, and there is a chance, and I'm going to say it again, a chance that if it goes through that rapid intensification again, that critical time on Sunday, again, there is that possibility we could definitely be talking not only high end category 4, but maybe for a time it could become category 5. There's definitely that possibility. I'm not saying that is I'm not saying that with absolute certainty at this point, but given the and this is the initial satellite, we're gonna talk more about the how the mainstream models kind of handle this and all that here in just a moment. I'm gonna I'm gonna turn it over to Cameron. He probably has more to touch on that.
Right. So,
Okay.
as I've stated before, earlier this morning we were looking at a lot of the forecast models, particularly the GFS and some of the models here uh, related to pressure being somewhere in the mid to lower realm of the 950s early on in the day. Well, each trend has come through, and we're now to that point where pressure is starting to get pretty serious. The recent, not the 18Z run, we're still awaiting the 0Z run. Lowest pressure I have found so far is just under 933. And that has 145 mile an hour sustained, I believe. This is just prior to landfall. Somewhere around Morgan City, I believe that's where this is showing currently. But what has essentially happened is we now have this storm, Ida, has gone from being essentially nothing to a hurricane in no time, and has maintained hurricane intensity through Cuba, which has been very worrisome. And the reason I believe we're having all these bigger pressure drops are due to the fact that we have the very high surface temperatures in the Gulf being at and above 90 degrees. Having these more intense surface temperatures and this no impediment of shear in the Gulf, it essentially is making for a powder keg to where we're seeing more than one intensification processes throughout the day tomorrow and throughout the day on Sunday. Now, the thing that's very worrisome to me, more so than just the intensification process in general, is the slowing down process of Ida. As we near landfall, this thing Ida slows down rapidly. Like it almost slams on the brakes for the most part. You're talking about a hurricane that's going to go from 12 to 15 mile an hour motion to the northwest, going almost to 5 to 8 miles an hour to the northwest, which is going to make for very catastrophic conditions across southeastern Louisiana, especially points from Intercoastal City over to Houma, to the Mississippi Delta, all the way up to New Orleans, Pontchartrain, and even as far north as southwestern Mississippi, and conditions with the flooding and the storm surge, and even with the very broad area of hurricane force winds we're going to be seeing. The three most major populated cities in the state of Louisiana, minus Shreveport, are going to be impacted by at least, in my opinion, 130 to 140 mile an hour sustained. So you're looking at really big problems here across the southeastern part of Louisiana on Sunday night. This is about as real as it gets when it comes to a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. This has a lot of similarities to Laura last year, just with a more eastern landfall. I believe it was just as intense or even more intense than Laura was last year. It's very possible on this next run, on the 0Z run, we see some sub 930 pressures. I know some of the North America model data that came in earlier was hinting at some pressures being under 930, which, in all honesty, this would not surprise me. I believe the National Hurricane Center has 140 mile an hour sustained currently, I believe, at landfall. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's 140 mile an hour sustained currently, which makes it as a median Category 4 hurricane. But with that being noted, 2 days before landfall, that's a very scary thing to think about. That you're being told 2 days in advance before the storm really gets itself organized, we're looking at a high-end Category 4 hurricane.
Yeah, maximum wind. I was going to say maximum sustained wind on their forecast. It's valid 12Z on the 29th.
Which would be Sunday, which is 7 p.m. Sunday. That would be 140 mile an hour sustained. That would be right before landfall.
120 knots, which I believe
that's 100
translates to about 140. Yeah.
That would be that's 140 knots. Miles an hour sustained.
Yep, correct. 120.
You see, I believe the morning advisory
that
only
is
had
138. Yes.
So the morning update, I believe, only had 110, 115 mile an hour sustained before this become a hurricane at 11 on the 11 o'clock update to become a hurricane. And now,
so this would be 7 a.m. On the 29th. We're talking 105 knots, which would be equivalent.
It would already be inland at that point, correct? No, you said this is 7 a.m. on Sunday.
Yeah, so
this is
would be
before
latter
fall.
part of the day on Sunday.
Probably around 8 to 9 p.m., I was thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say 12 hours after 7 p.m., pretty much it would be already in the
anywhere from 7 to 9
landfall.
p.m. essentially would be landfall Sunday then.
Yeah, essentially landfall. Again, it'll still have room to intensify within that 12-hour period. We are talking 120 knots, which is maximum of 138. And again, with this new advisory, I would be really interested to see if that time the numbers are going up in that advisory. And again,
it would not surprise me if they do. To be completely honest with you, I just believe that the way everything is trending, especially with the forecast day, when you have all these models now coming into agreement with lower pressure.
Yep.
And just a stronger gradient of a hurricane that we're looking at here, it would not surprise me if max sustain goes up to probably 150 mile an hour sustained by landfall. It's a very concerning thing to look at, especially due to the fact that this thing is, now that it's out of Cuba, it's got, like I said, right at or above 90
very
degrees
strong
temperatures to deal with. It's going to be... It would not surprise me if we woke up tomorrow morning to a high-end Category 2 to even potentially right out low-end Category 3 hurricane when we wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gulf of Mexico is just ripe enough right now. It's just like the situation with Laura, where the Gulf is completely unimpeded.
The Gulf of Mexico is just like a bunch of boiling water. It's like you get into a bathtub. It just feels warm. Hurricanes like that.
Yeah, and
it
not
helps
that it's
when
literally
you have
boiling, of course, but
it helps when you have a system like Ida, for example. I'm going to make a lot of comparisons to
with
Laura
no
because
shear.
it has
That's
a lot of
the problem.
similarities to Laura, and it's not even really the no shear. It's the fact that the Gulf has essentially just been unabsorbed for the most part. You had two weaker systems go through to two completely different areas of the Gulf earlier this year, which has left the coast of Louisiana and even the southeast coast of Texas pretty much untouched.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
I'm
allowed
trying
the
to think.
surface
What
temperatures.
hurricane was that?
You had a tropical storm that went through Florida. I'm already forgetting names. It's kind of irrelevant at the time.
We really haven't had too many.
We've had
The
two
problem is we
tropical
haven't
systems in
had
the
too
Gulf,
many
nevertheless.
hurricanes this year.
Well, the thing is, you had
This is our first major one.
you had a tropical storm go through Florida, and you had your weak Category 1 hurricane that went through the center of Mexico, essentially. So you've had this big cone of area of the Gulf of Mexico that hasn't been touched yet. And you have these right at and above 90-degree water temperatures. And not to mention, you don't have a storm system that's up north trying to come south and pretty much impede with anything that's going on with Ida in regards to its track or anything in that nature. And there's no shear in the Gulf. It's a powder keg. Essentially, like I was telling everybody, and like I'm going to tell you guys, it takes the right storm to get in the right environment to do what Ida is essentially doing now. This is what they would consider the perfect storm. That once things are said and done, we're looking at a very catastrophic type of hurricane to deal with. And I'm going to get away from the wind probabilities and things of that nature right now, and I'm going to go to your storm surge. I believe this is the biggest playmaker, other than the rainfall. I believe the storm surge is going to be the main focal point here, because any little sway in the track eastward toward New Orleans spells catastrophe for the city of New Orleans. I'm going to emphasize the city of New Orleans big time, because I'm going to let people understand this. The levee systems are not made to hold the type of storm surge that is already expecting in New Orleans. Pontchartrain is sitting at about 4 to 7 foot of storm surge, but right off the river is at 7 to 11 foot. Any weakening in that levee system with up to 11-foot storm surge is going to bring Katrina-like catastrophe to the city of New Orleans if a levee breaches.
Yeah,
which is a very scary thought.
And
you have to think of it this way. If you get a more eastward track, say, for example, instead of this making landfall near Morgan City, you have a landfall a little closer to Houma, which is about, 40 miles southwest of New Orleans. And you have a high-end Category 4 hurricane that pretty much brushes New Orleans with the eastern eye wall. You're spelling catastrophe for the city of New Orleans. And this is already going to be one of them that is going to rival Katrina on damage, just simply due to the major metropolitan cities that are going to be heavily impacted. You have Lafayette, you have Baton Rouge, and New Orleans all expected to be in at least Category 3, Category 4 intensity for a prolonged period of time as well. On top of potential historic flooding with this, 20-plus inches of rain possible in parts of Louisiana, specifically.
I'm going to get a map up with that real quick.
I'm about to get that up right now, actually.
Oh, sure.
And it's in a
there's
narrow,
going to be a lot of flash flood emergencies.
It's a very narrow band of this 15 to 20-plus inches. It essentially goes from Morgan City to just on the northwest corner of Pontchartrain and includes the entire city of New Orleans down to Houma, with a widespread area outside of that of 10 to 15 inches that even extends all the way into southwest Mississippi. So you're going to have a three-punch combo across most of southeastern Louisiana, where you're getting the Category 4 plus wind with Category 5 gusts at times. You're going to have the major storm surge on the coast, which I forget to add, I believe from Morgan City to the mouth of the Mississippi was 10 to 15 feet storm surge? Yes, 10 to 15 foot, which I believe that will go up as well as we get closer to the day on Sunday. And then you have the minimum 140 to 145 mile an hour sustained. It's
Yeah, definitely.
catastrophe waiting to happen, essentially. Um, this is one of those. What we all know, Laura was horrific last year, but it essentially did not have the storm surge
Yeah.
due to a faster movement, and
Now,
it did
what we
not
going to get ready to go
impact
through?
a bunch of major metropolitan cities. It impacted like Charles, but
Hmm.
you have a very intense hurricane that's fixing to make landfall essentially in the heart of the state of Louisiana. I just don't really have a good feeling about it, truthfully.
I don't
Um,
either. What about you,
This
Isaac?
is this is
Yeah,
this is not looking good at all.
yeah, very
My
true.
social
And
medias are blowing up. Wonderful.
yeah,
And here's another thing. We'll probably have a lot of flash flood emergencies. If you see water, if anybody has to stay there, I mean, or wants to be in their place, do not go through a flooded roadway. You're not going to make it. Right, Isaac? Because this is
I
going
am
to be
about to
dangerous
look
water. Am I
at
More than
correct?
like-
right now. I want to see if we have any data on new recon data.
yeah. The
Uh,
recon data that we get.
Recon is in right now, and they are already finding. Let's see, what was the recent pressure found? 989. Okay. So
Oh,
so
it's-
far they have found, I believe the number I'm looking at right here is 998 currently, and they're well southwest of the eye right now. So they're probably going to find some sub 985 here on this update. I just believe this thing is about to go through a very intense strengthening
Yeah,
process.
I just got an update
56.
from James Spann here. He's showing in this area in Louisiana by Lake Charles could down there get 15 inches of rain.
It would probably
Yeah,
be
and-
more than that once it is said and done as well.
Yeah. So
You
Yeah,
essentially
I
have to
just-
look at this
also
way.
have
You have a hurricane like this that's going to essentially hit the brakes, and it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all.
No, I don't think
Yeah,
it's going to look good either.
just looking at the rainfall map, you can see like where it
That narrow
so-called hits
band
the
of that
breaks.
15 to 20 inches of rain. Yeah, it's that very narrow band on the eastern side of the eye wall that's going to be the problem area.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like the worst of it, like might be it might be
Morgan City over the Homa, and then up to New Orleans, and even just northwest like Slidell up to northern ends of Pontchartrain. And I believe that data will go up as well as we get closer. There could be areas that could see even upwards of 25 plus inches of rain once this is said and done.
Yeah, and a lot of that'll fall in a short period of time too.
Very short period of time.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to be a problem because, again, like we've been saying, this is why it is very critical that we start seeing evacuations underway. Again, again, they got warnings and everything out now because, again, this could be the last notice you receive before you could have 15 or maybe even 20, or you could have 20-foot storm surge. You could have all the flooding. The real concern here is, again, you will have very limited time to react, and we're going to start seeing progressive impacts throughout the latter part of the area into Sunday.
Hey Isaac, I'm gonna give you an update on the storm surge warnings. You will not believe this, but storm surge warnings go all the way to Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. Oh,
wow.
Yeah, that's
they go all the
Rouge
way
is
to they go all
I'm
the
not
way
surprised.
to Louisiana, and they go all the way to Southwest Alabama, all of southeastern Louisiana, New Orleans, Pontchartrain, Homa, Hammond, and up to Baton Rouge, New Iberia. Everybody is in that storm surge warning. Outside of that, hurricane warnings are now extended all the way to Jackson's radar site, the Jackson site, up to Macomb. And there is I believe it's a hurricane watch. I believe that does include Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I just got.
Yeah, hurricane watches do include Jackson.
Some
Let me look at. And these are also going to be extended as well. I will point that out, that these hurricane watches are going to extend up probably into central Mississippi, probably include portions of far southeastern Arkansas and the rest of the northeast portion of Louisiana. It wouldn't even surprise me if all of southern Mississippi gets in on hurricane warnings here.
What about?
I think portions of far southwestern Alabama are under hurricane watch currently, with storm surge warnings. Even though some of these areas will not be getting impacted by a lot of the rain, these areas will still be seeing very heavy storm surge, like southeastern Mississippi, southwestern Alabama, and even parts of the Florida Panhandle will see storm surge up to 2 to 3 foot.
Yeah.
What I think is going to happen.
Let's see. Yeah, Jackson's already making it very clear that their threats are going to be up there. Jackson makes a note that 45 to 65 mile an hour sustained with gusts upwards of 80 plus possible for parts of southwestern Mississippi, including Jackson, Vicksburg, to even down as far as southeast as Hattiesburg. So Jackson's playing this pretty safe as well. I don't blame them. But let's see. And yes, okay. So yeah, storm surge warnings includes all of southern Louisiana from Cameron over to New Orleans and as far north as Baton Rouge. Okay, that's just what I was wanting to confirm real quick. I had to go to Lake Charles' site real quick. I do want to look at this real quick. I want to look at the details on this.
This would be the intermediate advisory. I'm going to try and get the new one because that is a.
It just probably came out. It's just now 10 o'clock.
Well, yeah, it's been out for about half an hour. Usually,
it's been out for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, they have all the graphics and the text product is out sooner. I have this is Advisory 7. What you are seeing right now is Advisory 6A, which is intermediate.
So they do have Advisory 7 out already?
Yeah, Advisory 7 is out. It is going to be appearing on your screen in just a minute. All right, so that's 6A, and here is 7. And you can see you get M's all over. Now we're, again, look at this here. You can see H after land. Now that's an M. So now we're technically talking a direct major hurricane landfall. And looking at the cone, I'm not. That might be heading east, like you pointed out.
It's making a little more of a touch. That's not good. Oh my God.
Oh, and you can see 2 a.m. Monday landfall on 6A, and now if you pay closer attention there,
the 8 a.m.
They're taking it close to M.
So we'll be getting landfall a little bit earlier than what we've initially thought. So
8 to 9 p.m.
And again, you can see it slamming on the brakes still, as you pointed out. But again, that Sunday, again, this will be worse for Sunday. And what I'm going to point out there, you can see how the hurricane warnings have not, the current warnings that you see there have not changed, but as we pointed out, the storm surge warnings extend well over 200, 300 miles, or from Mobile all the way to Baton Rouge.
On this new text stated from New Orleans, talking about the storm surge warning for southeastern parishes, Norcode, D'Almans, and Booty, calling the storm surge potentially historic with upward isolated storm storm surge amounts upwards of 20 feet in places. Widespread 11
Yeah.
to 15 feet with isolated surge amounts upwards of 20 feet are possible, calling this life-threatening. Need to plan for flooding greater than 9 feet above
Wow.
the ground.
Yeah, 9 feet above. Imagine the force.
At a minimum. And then
Yeah.
it also includes the fact for an additional 12 to 18 plus locally higher amounts of rain, calling the potential impact devastating to catastrophic.
Yeah, that is definitely not good. When you're talking, imagine 20 feet of water, the force of 20 feet of water than your
Yeah,
average
that's
tide.
just never good, folks.
Yeah, and again, imagine the amount of damage. You should never underestimate the power of water. Again,
Yeah.
you just have one.
That's why I just don't want people to drive on the road this weekend.
Yeah, but also talking about coastal inundation that will take place as we go about this. As we go about Sunday, it'll get progressively worse, and any again, this would be historic storm surge. It will have the potential to float anything away, and again, driving, travel, anything will be impossible. And if no one heeds evacuation orders, a lot of people will be stranded, and emergency response will be extremely difficult. So that's why you definitely got to heed all evacuation orders that have been given for your area. And
One thing we have not noted yet, and I'm going to go ahead and make a note of this. I know this has been very overshadowed for the most part while we've sit here and we have talked about this. Do not sleep on this tornado threat. Please do not sleep on this feeder band tornado threat early on. Well before even landfall happens.
Yes.
With major hurricanes like this, you have a greater probability of seeing what you would consider these regional outbreaks
fast-moving tornadoes
of fast-moving tornadoes with feeder bands.
Yes.
And I'm going to show you a satellite imagery. Well, not even satellite. This is a future composite reflectivity from the HWFR from the 18Z run. This is well before landfall. This is before landfall, essentially. And I'm just going to note the feeder bands that are here. And I'm also just going to show you that this thing has central pressure of insanity right now. I'm waiting for it to load. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. I hope it's going to do it for me at least. Ah, there it goes.
Okay.
All right. As we can see here, I don't know if you can see that, but it shows the central pressure here is at 933 millibars here. This is 21Z Sunday. This is at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. But note these feeder bands, supercells, well out ahead of the main bulk of the eye wall and the main bulk of this hurricane. And you can note the signatures that are on these. And even note the symmetry. The symmetry of these feeder bands, even on the southeast quadrant, going up to the beginning latter portions of the outer eye wall. Do not take this tornado threat lightly either. I am pretty sure they're going to have to issue an enhanced risk for southeastern Mississippi and a lot of Louisiana. I believe they're going to have to issue an enhanced risk.
I'm going to talk about that in a minute, Whippy, too. Please, please do not take these tornadoes at the please take them very good, because this is going to be a dangerous day.
But yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, there's your pressure. I don't know if y'all can see that there. 933 millibars here. And I'm going to even move it to later on. Here you are once again, 933 millibars at landfall. This is near Morgan City. Here's Intercoastal City. Here's New Orleans. There's Pontchartrain. You can see these. Probably these outer bands here are the beginning of the hurricane force. And then here is the bulk of this. But I do believe on this next update we see a little bit of a shift, just a touch east of Morgan City where landfall will be. I think once it's probably said and done, we're probably looking at landfall between Morgan City and Houma, which is going to make more of a direct impact to New Orleans, Pontchartrain, even more potential impacts to southwestern Mississippi as well, and less of an impact towards southwestern Louisiana, far southeastern Texas, and Lake Charles area. I just have a really weird feeling that this is going to be more of an impact to the far eastern portions of the state. Just looking at the recent trends, because we started this morning, landfall being east of Cameron, and we have now moved to this latest update before the 0Z run comes out, where we are having a more eastward component, which is not good at all. I just really strongly believe that this will make a little farther eastward track as well. But once it does, it will continue on its northwestern trail. I'm actually just going to go ahead and run the loop. Let me go back a couple steps. So I'm going to just go through the entire process here of the rapid intensification.
Okay.
So here we are as it is pretty much now. I'll go ahead and give it to you now. Here we are essentially where we are currently. Off the coast of Cuba, give or take at 986 millibars, which is what it was on the last update. I'm going to click play here. And you can watch how quickly this intensifies. And then...
Wow. Good grief.
Boom. You hit the brakes. You get to about 6Z Sunday. You're at 950 millibars, and it hits the brakes. 945 at 9Z, and it just takes its time to get here. And here you are by 21Z sitting at 933, making landfall at 933 millibars, and now completely overtaking southeastern Louisiana. Move on, and essentially it looks like this system stalled, and it's actually made it more of a northwestward track into portions of northwestern Mississippi by the end of this, and then stalling out. So that's what we are dealing with. I believe this trend will continue with this more of a eastward track. It's just a very scary situation to look at here.
Yeah.
In regards to
it's very scary.
The ceiling, essentially
right,
what
Isaac?
the ceiling of this hurricane has.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to kind of touch on some of my other thoughts. Again, with the impacts, again, the landfall that is, again, trending further east and the pressure trending down, again, I believe it is easily attainable, again, given the trends, and if it continues at this rate, we would be looking at direct impacts for New Orleans, again, many coastal areas, Morgan City, so just because it may, and also just because it may landfall in one part of the state doesn't mean that other areas will not see hurricane force conditions. I do want to make that clear.
That's right.
Everyone's going to see impacts with these bands. And again, that feeder band tornado threat is going to be one of the biggest concerns for me, of course, because again, the feeder bands on the outer, the tornado threat would likely evolve in the early part of the day on Sunday, or this would be well before landfall happens.
And then I have an update.
And again,
here.
We're talking supercells. Yeah, those feeder supercells.
I have a
He's got an update for you.
I have a sub 930 landfall on the new NAM 3 kilometer. Looks like landfall based on the new NAM 3 kilometer 0Z run 920 millibars.
920, 920.
920, correct.
Yeah, that is again again that I would say
And
if
also it
we get
also
to nine.
trends a more east of Morgan City landfall as well at 920 millibars.
So
This is at what? This is at 2Z Monday, so this is essentially 9 to 10 p.m. landfall. So the consensus is there that we're going to be looking at a very strong hurricane making landfall Sunday night. The
would
name
this
three
be
kilometer
Sunday
can be
night
so
or
the
this
name three
Monday?
kilometer can somewhat be very aggressive with these, but here recently it has gotten a better hold on actual strength at landfall. It's been consistent with that mid to low end 920s landfall, which is what it's at currently is at 920. I'm gonna double check to see if that's gonna verify here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
if we
zoom
get
in
150
regionally.
sustained and sub 930s or rather 920s, that is where you're definitely most certainly talking about high end category 4, but then a lot of times when you're talking 920, the sub 920s, that is where you're talking potentially category 5 strength. And
I'm gonna look at the
that is
normal name as
definitely
well.
achievable.
Um,
Yeah, and again, with
normal
direct
name.
impacts for more
Still
populated areas
off.
of the state, this is going to be concerning. And again, the levee systems aren't able to handle it. This would definitely be
No.
trending uh,
Here.
a trend towards a more worst case scenario that we've been thinking with this. Again, this if people aren't following evacuation orders and listening to the and heeding advice of local officials and staying weather aware, stocking on supplies and staying out of flood prone areas. Again, these precautions will spare your life when the storm hits. Uh, and again, we're definitely talking major power outages that could last weeks, maybe even months
Yeah,
in some
we talk
areas.
about that.
Um,
Ooh, here we
yeah, and
go.
again,
Hold up. What do
many
we have here?
many
Yeah,
people could be misplaced in a situation like this.
yeah.
So
Here, I
again,
want to talk about the
uh,
power outages,
so
Isaac.
again,
What do we have here?
Everybody just needs to have a flashlight in case you lose power, and I represent you just leave because this is a life threatening situation, and we haven't seen this in a long time. I mean, this is I'm afraid it's going to be a problem. We're going to have many people be
yeah,
trapped in
my
the dark,
concern.
and many people are going to let their.
Oh
And I
Well,
boy.
think this is.
also again,
I think they could bump up the. I think they could bump up the risk to a high risk of flash flooding.
They are definitely going to bump that up to high risk for flash flooding. That's almost.
And
Oh
spec
wow.
flash
yeah, as we
flood
get closer to
Oh wow.
yeah.
Hold on.
watches to be issue too.
What do we have here? So the HWR is now
Yeah.
verifying sub 930 landfall as well.
Oh
Wow.
man, that's not a
This
good
is
sign when
before
all the
land, but this
mainstream
I can't get
models
it
are
past hour
following
48
through.
on here. But on hour 48, it has
Mm-hmm.
930 millibars before landfall. Oh boy.
Yeah, and again, a
Okay.
lot of the
Let me look at the other in the
again, like
HWR. I believe it's also going to verify this. Yeah, 926 millibars on the other HW.
The
The
last couple days.
HW. Oh boy. I have 928 here now.
imagine we were talking like 950 this morning or sub 950s this
And now
morning,
we're looking
and
at
now
Mm-hmm.
some
we're
that are
talking
showing sub
920s.
930. Holy
Mm-hmm.
Moses. Wow.
And they're
Let
definitely
me look
going to
at.
be. Here's another
That's a new
concern, Isaac. I
GFS.
didn't really mention, but there's going to be flash flood watches be issue too.
That's two.
So I'd
Yeah,
avoid the flooding. I mean, if you
most
see,
certainly.
This is not good.
and here's another thing, Isaac. High wind warnings.
That's
You know that.
essentially what the hurricane warnings are. The sustained winds with it.
sustained winds. Yeah, you just
and
gotta
I'm
avoid
gonna
this. I mean, Miss Sure, if you
Yeah,
have to
and
go through
I'm
this
going.
hurricane, if you have water in the house, do not use your generator or anything like that, or you can really have some problems.
Well, don't use them indoors. Make sure
Gas
that
lines
they
and
are exhausted properly. And again, be prepared for not only electrical outages, power outages, infrastructure outages. You may be without
telephone
running water, which is,
outages.
yeah, again, not too many people use landlines, but you will have this likely disruption to cell phone services and radios and all that. But
Yeah,
also,
I'm afraid
like,
that's gonna go.
there's going to be a whole lot of people wanting to use natural gas for their generators or to
Yeah, that's
cook
the
with.
problem.
Um,
That's gonna be a problem.
yeah, and again, just thinking of like what the gas prices were like after Katrina, for example. I do remember.
Yeah.
I do remember we had a surge in gas prices after
Mm-hmm.
Katrina. Just what I
Well,
remember because
I
people
remember
were
Probably
Katrina,
going to have
folks,
something. We're
because
going to have something
Katrina.
probably very similar to that as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
yeah
Well,
that
Katrina, I
that is
was in third
definitely
grade, and
again
I
the
just remember it was
scope
just
of
a bunch
the
of people.
disruptions
Yeah, this.
and this is
I mean,
yeah
you just
and
definitely
like
gotta
I
take it
said,
to grain of
loss
salt.
of yeah
Oh.
loss of power and infrastructure, critical infrastructure can also be threatening to
Mm-hmm.
life
And there's
and
going to be
can
a lot of trees
indirectly lead to fatality sometimes.
that go down. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a lot of trees down. And
Yeah,
Cameron
lots of
already had
trees
that
that
experience
go.
probably because he works with the company, like something like that probably.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to point out a lot of, again, like we're expecting widespread tree damage. Lots of again with the sustained winds, a lot of trees, larger trees could go uprooted, and smaller trees will just get blown away and could
Pine
turn into
trees.
debris, flying debris that could,
Not
if you
pine
are
trees
not
on there.
in cover, it could seriously
Definitely
injure
not.
or kill you if you're, and also you got to be taking precautions again in major hurricane status, category 3, category 4, well built homes. And not we're not just talking like
Yes.
mobile homes or like weaker structures or outbuildings. Like well built homes could easily see you could see your roof cave in on your house in the worst case, and then you could be talking about complete structural collapse of again that can happen. So again,
I also want
you
to point
you,
out
you
if
got to
you think
have
you can ride out a hurricane on the coast in a well built structure, take Hurricane Dorian for prime example. When you have a 1-2 punch of a high end Cat 4, Category 5 hurricane with a insane storm surge, it's almost unsurvivable kind of ordeal when you get a 1-2 punch like that. It's best to be safe than sorry. It does not really
Yeah,
matter to me if you
yeah
just
are
no,
in a
back away
well-built
to
home
place.
or not. If you live on the coast, you have one option and one option only. That's to leave.
You're not want to survive in mobile homes either, right, Isaac?
yeah again mobile homes will definitely be again
A problem.
I would say again near the coast your mobile home is going to float away and it's going to be buried in rubble and
It's gonna be a
I
mess.
mean you don't want to have that happen to you. Yeah, again that is my concern.
What's also
It's
concerning,
gonna be a
I
muddy
do want to
Yeah, I
point
was
it
mess.
gonna
out.
say
These other high-res models that are showing these lower pressures, these 930 and sub 930 pressures that are occurring here. They're also on a trend of this thing pretty much halting the brakes. When you think you're going to get an early in the day Sunday landfall, Ida decides to hit the brakes, and that is just wow.
It's
Because
just not
well
one thing
before
you don't
landfall,
want.
it essentially goes from what I've looked at. It goes from being about 150 to 200 miles off the coast and being at about 950 ish millibars to by the time that it gets there 8 hours later being sub 930s on most of these high-res models. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I don't even want to look.
I
I don't
mean,
even want to
at
look at
this
the new
rate,
runs tomorrow.
yeah,
Oh
we
man,
could
this is
easily
not
be
good.
talking. Again, I'm going to see if what the newer forecast advisory, if that number keeps going down, and the estimated winds speeds are definitely on the upward
Speaking of
trend
that,
at this rate. Again, we could be easily talking something as catastrophic as Katrina. It's easily attainable. So again, and this would definitely be a concern for New Orleans. Again,
especially with this
the levee
with a more
systems could
eastern
easily be
track.
breached. Yeah, and
Um,
that is becoming something
where's
that's
that here?
increasingly possible. Again, but again, this is likely going to be catastrophic what we do see, and we'll have to definitely be we're definitely going to be paying close attention, and we encourage you to again monitor local media authorities, and again stock up on supplies and make sure you have enough
A weather
non-perishable
radio.
food and yeah, non-perishable food, water, anything you that you can accommodate yourself over the course of the next week, maybe month or so. If you are in any of these coastal areas near New Orleans and I mean
Southeastern Louisiana in
you
general.
gotta yeah,
Yeah,
and
you got to
again
take
we're
it the grain of
pleading
salt, folks.
anyone. Yeah,
I mean,
we're pleading anyone who.
we're talking the real deal here, people. This isn't, this isn't
Yeah,
what
we
we've been
talking. This
experiencing
is
earlier on
this
during
is real
hurricane season.
me.
This is
No,
about as
no,
this is about as
getting
intense as
major
we're gonna get when
stuff.
it comes to hurricanes. I mean,
Yeah,
this is
I talking to Isaac when I was talking to George Shelvin earlier, meteorologist George Shelvin. He said this is going to be close to a Category 5, and still won't be surprised if this would happen.
we
Yeah,
still
and
have
again,
plenty of room to look
pressure
at. You have
readings
to
that
look at
we've
it this
seen.
way. We have now just less than
Yeah.
2 days before landfall. That gives this
Yep.
hurricane at least 2 days worth of intensifying to go through, and the open Gulf being completely unimpeded. With that being the case, if we wake up tomorrow morning to at least a mid to high end Category 2 hurricane with gradual strengthening throughout the day tomorrow, do not be surprised if one of these advisories at some point tomorrow warn people of the possibility of having a low to mid end Category 5 hurricane at landfall. But I do believe on the newest updated
And
ship, the
that's just
maximum
still
sustained.
a 5's worse than a 4.
I believe maximum sustain will get bumped up to at least 145, if not 150 mile an hour sustain on the newer updates.
And I'm going to put
Um,
this out. I'm going to put this out too. That even a Category 3 or Category 4, even any of these winds are going to be significant. I mean, it doesn't matter what hurricane you have.
Very true. And just to
Just
kind of close out our thoughts here, again, we'll have a lot. We'll need to really thoroughly review some of the trends we get and a lot of the newer data that comes throughout the course of the night. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we wake up to, again, the possibility
of
with
it
that
already being
forecast
a major
advisory
hurricane.
talking.
Like,
yeah, I
it
won't be
genuinely will not
surprised. When
surprise
is the
me.
next
up to a
update?
high end Cat 2, low end Cat 3. The next advisory
Comes out at 11 o'clock, I
That-
believe,
I-
which
I
will be
believe-
midnight Eastern.
Okay. I didn't know.
rather the
Yeah, this
yeah, I
is
was gonna say the
this is a
next
serious
advisory-
situation.
Next advisory, intermediate advisory comes at 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern, and the full advisory comes at 5 a.m. Eastern,
So it comes
or
out
4
in a couple
a.m.
of
Central.
Okay. So
Then
when we
Yeah,
wake
and
up
I
in the
still
morning,
won't be
we'll get
forecast
the true
advisory
surprised.
number.
It's going to be pretty bad. This is, folks, just be aware of this. You got to pay attention, or your life can be in danger, big time.
Also,
Yeah,
this is
definitely,
a very
we're
large
I just hope
hurricane
it.
too. This looks like this is going to
Yeah,
be one of the
it's a
very large
very
hurricanes.
large storm. What about Hurricane Charlie? What was that? Was that a 5 or a 4?
Ooh, hold on. Charlie was a 4, I believe, because we've only had
Yeah, but still, a 4 is dangerous.
we've only had what 5 Category 5 landfalls in the United States. I believe we've had 5, but Michael was the 5th.
Yeah, but
Something
Charlie
like
was
that,
bad because
yeah.
I watched it on the Weather Channel when I was in third grade, and I just and that's the first word I heard of hurricane back then, and that was bad.
Let me go to this. I've got to see if the new
Yeah,
run come out
definitely.
on Tropical yet, because this is
Let's see it.
just
It's
insane.
about 10:46, Isaac. We've been on for about 1 hour and 1 minute.
Yeah,
Come on, give me the new run now,
we've been.
please.
We definitely have lots more information we got to review, and again, this
Are we doing
definitely is
another
looking like a
update tomorrow or not?
catastrophic hurricane. So, yeah, we are looking at another briefing. This would likely be. We'll have another night side briefing. I'll be the coordinator of at some point during the latter part of the day. We might be able to pull in a morning. We'll do a morning guidance, full guidance report. I'm shooting for that.
Precise.
But the next StreamYard, we'll have to initiate. We'll definitely be initiating that coverage protocol there. The right now we're in the standard feed priority. That will be bumped up to more generalized
Okay.
StreamYard briefings.
Because
as
a
we
lot
Zero
of
go
Z
people are
throughout
GFS is
asking that
starting
in
to
the group.
come out as
Saturday
well. I
and
just want to point
more
that out.
urgent status going into Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, Zero Z GFS is coming out
So,
now
Okay.
as we speak.
All right, and we got the first couple of, Zero Z would have been a couple hours ago. It's still rendering all the data from that run and
The
calculating.
GFS is usually
the
fairly slower
trajectory.
for the most part, anyhow. So this does not surprise me.
Yeah, again, this is a regional
Okay.
broad scale. You drinking Pepsi, JD?
No, I'm actually drinking RC.
Oh, I thought that was a Pepsi
RC
logo.
Cola.
I'm like, you drink a lot of caffeine,
Unbelievable.
you're not going to sleep. That's my-
I'm
But,
definitely.
So you want me to
yeah,
hit the
like I
end
said,
button
this
or
is
not yet?
definitely- Or not yet. We still got to kind of discuss our closing thoughts. Like we're again to summarize. Again, we're talking catastrophic impacts. Definitely Category 4, looking likely at high-end Cat 4 and Category 5, easily attainable. Looking at landfall over Morgan City Sunday night or latter part of the day Sunday, and impacts throughout the day. Again, we're going to pull up the cone again. This is the that's the 6A. I'm going to put the 7 up. This is the advisory number 7. You can see landfalls quicker. You see it riding on the slamming on the brakes there. Again, looks like it'll that rapid intensification. Now we're looking at major hurricane status latter part of tomorrow. Over the northern and as we get into the northern Gulf again. We're looking at major hurricane status. It's going to slow up, and then that's where we're talking for that window of Category 4. And I would not be surprised to see the maximum sustained winds over 140. And once we get closer to 150, I think Category 5.
Category 5 starts technically at 156 miles per hour, technically.
156. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was going to
Because
say
155
generally
is
very
the
high end Cat 4
cusp
at
of
least.
Cat 4, Cat 5. So
Yeah, so I will say it's achievable. Again, if everything
definitely.
continues at the rate that we're seeing and the pressure rapidly decreases at the same trend, I think it gets a better handle as we get closer in. So I'm not sure we'll continue to see the same dramatic trends on some of the mainstream models, but I will definitely say anything is achievable at this point. And again, nevertheless, we are talking significant impacts from storm
Mhm.
surge, flooding, and I'm gonna pull up that rainfall map once
Tornadoes.
again. You can see this is the rainfall map. Again, widespread 10 to 15 inches, some areas locally upwards of
20
20
plus,
inches of
20 inches
rain,
plus
Wow,
for
that's just
sure.
20 plus, and
way
this would
too
likely
much.
a brunt of this would likely fall in a less than 24-hour period. So I mean,
Yeah,
the water's
it
not
will.
going to go anywhere, and it'll run off into any low-lying area. And then you couple that in with storm surge, you're going to be talking significant flooding that could
Hmm.
that will have the potential to
Yeah. Isaac, can I show you
displace
something on the Storm Prediction
residences.
Center?
Uh, yeah,
Yes,
sure.
PC.
Let, let me share it up here too. This is for Sunday's Outlook, folks. This is the Storm Prediction Center. And you'll have to move your map. No, there it is.
Yeah,
That's
they
the
also had
Outlook. And
that
I do
module
think
in
that would
place.
go into enhance.
They'll at least put a slight for the
Don't
day
you?
2 outlook
I mean,
tomorrow, I believe. They'll,
yeah,
they'll at
I
least
would
have
at
to put a
least do a
slight for the day
slight.
2.
Yeah, I was going to say the probabilistic outlook is only 5%. And
Correct.
generally, that would equate when you're specifically factoring in the tornado potential. That would equate to a latter day 2 slight. Again, generally, you need a 5% in order to achieve slight risk thresholds. And again, that so a day 3 marginal would probably mean, again, they have specifically said in the day 3 outlook today earlier, it said that it would definitely need refinements, and upgrades and probabilities are potentially going to be warranted here. Again, we need to, once we get more details from the National Hurricane Center, and if we get more refinements in the forecast and the track data, and I would assume their next day 2 convective outlook would be little ways after midnight. So we'll have to see what we wake up to, and again, just saying, we'll be
Let's see
seeing
here.
yeah.
One of these invests is
But
about
once
to become a
again,
tropical depression as well, by the way. I don't know if it's 97 or 98. I believe on the next update, one of these is supposed to become a tropical depression. I believe it's 98.
okay, let me pull that up on here. Yeah, I was going to say
I'm looking at it on
98.
satellite, and
Yeah,
it has
98.
blown up in. Yeah, it's blown up quickly. I believe it's 98.
Mm-hmm.
It
Wow.
might be
This is
97.
this is sad.
Is it 97?
Let me see. Or, yeah, 97. Most mainstream models are giving us tropical storm force. 98 kind of likely to end up being tropical
So it
storm
is
2.
97 that's fixing to get ready to develop. Then. Okay.
Yeah, and this, like
98
hurricane
blew up
status,
quickly, though, from what I just seen on the satellite
yeah, definitely.
imagery. Yeah, this is 98. 98 looks impressive. Holy Moses. 97 looks alright. The thunderstorm development around 97 has intensified, though.
Yeah, it's definitely.
But 98 for some reason just blew up like a rocket overnight
Yeah,
tonight.
I mean, definitely has the potential to. It's definitely achievable. We're talking a named system with this. As we go throughout later in the week, it's definitely somewhat intensifying there. Um, Trying to get a perspective of where this is in relation to the rest of the Atlantic. Um,
And I think it's like right.
Mobile, Alabama.
No. It is off the. I think that's the Antilles. It's a couple hundred miles off the coast of the Antilles.
Yeah, I can see the Antilles on there, or what looks like some islands. I couldn't tell where that was, but yeah, I mean,
Those are the ones that are going to
anything's
be off the
possible.
coast of South America.
Yeah, so again, we are getting into the peak of hurricane season. I'm going to point this out. Again, the peak of hurricane season, again, that's where the sea surface temperatures tend to be the highest. Um, and I'm going to point out once again um, there's definitely room, and we think of 2020 and seasons like 2005 where we got into the Greek alphabet. I think they have officially retired the Greek alphabet as a whole.
Did
From
they
our,
really? Wow.
I think that's what they did. I don't know specifically. They might have just retired Delta and what Gamma, one of the other ones.
So it is 98 that is going to be the new name system, it looks like. It's also noted that another tropical wave is going to come off the coast of Africa and it already has a 30% chance of development within the next 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, we could be talking
The
multiple
wave
different.
it's the wave train's here.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah, and
I can see
mean,
that wave on the satellite imagery as well. It's not very far from coming off the coast of Africa either. So it's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. It's time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Everybody just needs to be ready.
yep,
There's
and
at least
then
two
we'll
more
have,
behind that as well too. Goodness.
Mm-hmm.
so this is why
I was wondering why it was showing me 3 different ones. I was like, wait a minute, there's not 3 there though.
Yeah, definitely. Shoot. Yeah, as we go over the rest of the hurricane season, I think generally the latter part of the hurricane season tends to be the most active compared to the start.
August
we
to
want to-
October.
Yep.
Yep. In November too. I mean, Hurricane Delta happened.
30th.
Delta did happen in
November.
November.
Yep.
That is correct.
Now that hit Alabama.
Yeah, right. Or I don't think it was Delta, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't Delta. No, it wasn't Delta.
Zelda.
Delta was like more like October.
Zeta? I think that was the name of it. Zeta or something like that. I can't remember. The Greek
Zeta
alphabet is very confusing to me.
Yeah, we went Alpha, Beta,
Yeah.
Gamma, Delta.
It is. But you
It
know,
might have
Cameron,
been
I couldn't even
Iota.
pronounce any of those.
Wasn't it like
Some
Iota
of
or
those-
something?
Something along. It was very confusing. Some of them got to the point where I was just like, "Can we just restart the the standard alphabet, please?"
I mean, then you'd be getting into 2021's name. I mean, you don't want to have that many hurricanes in a given season. That is definitely important. But yes, it
No,
is
we don't want
definitely-
that.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we definitely want to have our closing thoughts here. Again, I mean, you all need to put your hurricane plans into action. Again, please follow local media and authorities and stock up on needed supplies because there's potential that many areas will be without
This is going to be a very significant, horrible hurricane.
Yeah, and again, this is why you need to put your plans into action. Call loved ones that are in the path. ask them what their hurricane plan is, and again, prepare for the possibility of evacuations if you are in a low-lying or any kind of flood-prone area, move to higher ground well ahead of the time where impacts begin. We need you to be in a safe place, to the safest place possible to ride this out in. And again, if in the case where you're being impacted by major hurricane, again, the best thing you can do is leave while you got time. But if you have to ride it
Yep.
out in a site built home, again, find a basement if you have one, or some area on the lowest floor interior room. And again, be aware of the risks. You're going to want to have something sturdy to protect you in case your roof collapses, or anything were to collapse on
Yeah.
top of you.
Here's something else, Isaac, I'm going to put out there. I'm going to say something too. Even if this happens, you might want to wear a helmet, like a welding helmet, baseball helmet. That would help for the wind, protect your head, right? Because if any debris flies.
Yeah, very true. And again, this is why it's definitely important. Call loved ones that are in the path of this. Tell them to be prepared and ask what they're doing.
Hope the
And
mist.
again, we need to prepare for potential disaster relief efforts as well.
Yes, this is
Yeah, so again,
this is not going to be good, folks. This is going to be like Hurricane Wilma.
Wilma was 05, like Katrina. And
I think so. I mean, that's what meteorologist George Sheldon
or that,
said.
I think that was 2004. Yeah.
I was going to say, let's not get into 05 and the Gulf Coast, because I don't think we'll ever see another year like that in the Gulf ever again.
Again, every hurricane season is unique, and we just gotta take things with a grain of salt, and just we just gotta again prepare for whatever Mother Nature can logically give us. We just need to be open to anything that happens. Well, again, just to close things out, once again, please talk to loved ones that are in the path of this system. If you are impacted, please follow local media and authorities, and continue to follow us for more fine-tuned information as we go throughout tomorrow and Sunday. We'll have some more guidance to share. Follow our page and our group sides. We'll have the latest to track, and feel free to be part of the discussion there. The USA Severe Weather Network group. Also follow us on the USA Storm Watch page. This is exclusive video coverage for USA Storm Watch. I'm going to kind of leave it here just so we're not, just so we got the more critical discussions in there. So I suppose we'll leave it there.
Let me hit the end button.
And we will be, we will see you soon.